Hey guys, I'm working on a different spot today. This is Chris. I'm Chris of Wilson Wildlife Sculpture and Wood Carving, and it's a beautiful winter day out here. I live underneath this big white oak tree. In fact, several of them. It's over 100 years old, and I consider trees sacred. That's why I don't cut anything down for my sculptures and my wood sculptures and wood carving. So today I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to dye a base and show you a composition. The reason I'm working out here in my back deck is because I'm working a couple monumental sculptures, one 6 feet tall and one over 8 feet tall in my other areas. So stay tuned to see what that's about. But this is miniature. I just did a video about why I like miniature, how I like creating miniature wood carvings and sculptures. And this is an example of a wall hanging green heron. It hangs on the wall using this hanger here. It's called Nature's Cathedral. It's part of a series where I will show a lot of negative space. That's the area around or between some empty void. Okay, the positive space being the bird and this piece of wood, which is pine heart, and I consider nature sacred. So this piece is called Nature's Cathedral, and it depicts a miniature green heron. Here's the back of it. And green heron is a shorebird or a water bird, and they're always around water. So if I hang this on the wall, it's a little bit out of place. So I am going to I made the base here, and I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to dye it blue and how I'm going to unify this composition. Blue and green are analogous colors in the color wheel, so it should work. And conceptually, you know, you always see herons around water. Sometimes this bird will nest in trees and fly up there. Now this is a tough one to engineer. Now I do monumental work and you have to work with engineers, but I enjoy figuring things out myself, and small scale is great for doing that. But there's no wood to drill into here. Okay, fortunately pine heart is hard. I only work with pretty hard woods. This is found wood, and I have added moss. I made my own moss using wood shavings, and this is wire screwed in the back. So it's a different kind of presentation. Hang on the wall. Of course, it doesn't look good against the bark of the tree, but a classic wall would look good. And so I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to basically have to reinforce it in the back and get some good adhesive in there. I don't quite have it drilled in yet, but that's how it's kind of going to go, the orientation of it. So it'll be wall hanging, the option to do wall hanging or freestanding. And being freestanding, that'll be mounted on this base, and there'll be option to view it from all sides, because the bird is done from all sides. On the wall, it would be called a frontal work. So that's a little bit about terminology, but let me get into techniques here. This has been painted, carved with tupelo wood. I carved the bird out of one piece of tupelo wood. I wood burn the texture. I paint it with acrylics and then oil paint. And I demonstrate various techniques of power tool carving, hand tool carving, painting on other videos at Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. So if you see value in this video, and please consider subscribing to my channel, as well as liking this video. It all helps. I appreciate it. So let me demonstrate the technique now, rather than just talk about it. And these are 3 jars of diluted dye. Okay, you can buy a pigment or dye at a specialty hardware store, and this is called aniline dye. Okay, so I mixed it with a powder, with hot water. Aniline dye is a powder, and you mix it with boiling water. And I have different ratios of it in these glass jars, but you make sure it's cooled off. I like to apply it to a surface that's clean. Just got to clean a little bit more here. That's been sanded, although it will raise the grain. Okay, it won't raise the games, but you can sand it back with fine grit sandpaper after it dries, and you want to let it dry overnight. So I demonstrated this before using black, and you could have seen some of my videos, my frog base, my stylized falcons. I've used it before, but this is going to be fun because hopefully I can get a nice bright blue saturated color. I think this first one's going to be a little bit too thin. Yeah, there's hardly any pigment at all. So I need some strong pigment for this piece. Watch what it does. Now it's going to dry lighter. I better put the bird a little farther away in case some of that dye goes on the actual heron, which is not good. It's not a great blue heron, it's a green heron. And so my idea is to have I'm going to make a little bit of water to that and do a little bit of the high spots so I can get a little bit of a different tone. Okay, I want the high spots a little bit lighter and the low spots darker for contrast, just like water. I could even add black dye, which this has a little bit of black dye in it, and I may do that. I could paint the sides of it. Right now I'm going to try to leave it, and then I'll decide how it looks after I dye the top blue. I may even dye the sides blue, but stay tuned and see how it looks. I'll put the heron up there. So there's how it's soaking in, and every once in a while I get the lighter. Now it's want to run, so I got to be careful. I can't. I got to work with it pretty much upright. Every once in a while I get the lighter diluted dye, and I just kind of put it on the highlights. It's easier to get it. I mean, I can always sand it away, but to me it's easier to get it light than it is dark. This is basswood, which by the way carves very, very well. I carved it with power tools pretty fast, but I sanded it and it is pretty grain. I wish it had some figure to it, but it's got some pretty grain. I just didn't have any curly maple, which this looks really good. And there's my first spill. At least I have plastic down on my deck. Okay, I'm almost done here, and I'll show you how it looks. I've done this before for a kingfisher base. An egret base, so I have experience doing this, and I think it's going to look good. Let me know in your comments what you think, as well as how I can improve these videos. So I'll try to give you some close-ups here in a second. But there it is dyed. Okay, it's not going to run now. I might put a little more dye in the grooves here, make it darker. I hear a squirrel out here. He lives in this tree above my house, and I don't think he's too happy with me working. But there are tons of acorns, thousands of them, and I love nature. I love creating these sculptures. I love viewing the wildlife. So let's take a look how it looks here, and we'll just see if we want to stain the sides or keep it like it is. I like the contrast with the blue, kind of formal. I might end up sanding some of this more away because it's so rough. Let me make sure you can see this close here. There's the dyed wood. Boy, it's kind of dark here. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Still a little dark. And there's the heron. I'm going to come around this way with the... Try to get some better visuals here. Okay, so here's the dyed piece here. It actually goes this way. It'll be mounted right about like that. So tell me your comments, what you think. Okay, I think it gives some nice little contrast there. I'm still not happy with just the natural element of the base around it. I sanded some and added moss, but it's just not quite my thing. And also, I'm not happy with the sides. So I think I'm going to go ahead and dye that blue and see how that looks. And if I need more contrast later, like making it black, I can. But I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. At least I'll show you the front of it here. Okay, so if you didn't see very good before, now I'll give you some better details. Hopefully it's a little bit better lighting with the sun behind me. Do wear rubber gloves when working with dye because you'll dye your hands. Now I just dyed my deck. Okay, you know, and I can always go back and sand this. You can lighten it up. See how I'm rubbing it there? Now you can see. Lightening the sides up a little bit with less pigmented dye. It's going to dry lighter. I'll put some on this side. Ingrain should absorb a lot more, just like oil. And you can, after this dries a day, you can go back and oil it. I will go back and wipe it with a cloth, especially the high spots, and then I will sand it with very fine, wet dry sandpaper, either 400 or 600, depending on how much the grain has raised. Okay, yeah, look at that ingrain. Doesn't want to absorb in that one little area, which I don't know what's on it, but I may have to go add some paint. Go back, yeah, and touch up with later. Okay, so yeah, there it is here. Let's look at the with the heron again, and take a look at that. Now it looks more cohesive. Okay, you want to have unity and variety in your work, and contrast. It's still a little too bright for my taste, but again, it'll dry lighter, and I can sand and make it show more of the wood coming through. So let me know in the comments what you think, okay, of the piece, and or if you like it better just as a wall hanging. There's the green heron. Thanks a lot for your support. I appreciate it, and have a great day.